Hi, all you hungry people out there. Welcome to Hungry Cat Daily with Nick and Lance, the podcast where we'll be recapping every Garfield comic from A to Z. My name is Nick Ramirez, and I'm joined today with my co-host, Lance Gilstrap. Lance, what's up?
What's up, Nick?
And today we have a special guest from the podcast Hot and Rich, and from Jack AM on Twitch. I guess they're both on Twitch. CAIT RAFT.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, Kate.
Hey,
Kate,
I'm excited to be here.
awesome. We had Joey Clift on a few weeks ago, and he told us about how he commissioned some Garfield artwork from you.
Yes.
He showed us Antifa Garfield, but then I saw this other Avengers Garfield comic that you drew.
Oh, yeah. God, I like erased that from my brain. Yes, I've done, I think a couple of these Garfields for Joey, which is always a delight because he's so funny and the best. Yeah.
We'll put those in the description, links to those, but of the podcast. But what do you have any, like, did you grow up reading Garfield? Do you have any fondness for Garfield, or was it just a hired hand job?
I did grow up reading Garfield because I was like a big like Sunday comics like person when I was a child, and I would I would pore over those comics every Sunday. It was like a big part of my routine, I guess. And so I definitely grew up reading Garfield, and like I wouldn't say I was ever like a hardcore fan or anything. Like I just liked that comics like existed in the newspaper, and I would just read them as soon as like my dad would give me the comics page or whatever. But like I don't know if that really carried through much beyond like age like 10 or something. Like I think I had a big like a long period of my life without Garfield, and honestly that's quite sad for me. It's quite
He's
sad.
He's popping up more these days, right? Like
He's popping up
memes and stuff.
more. I think Garfield is like, he's very memeable. We all are Garfield. We all have a Garfield, like a base need to just like bitch and eat.
Mm-hmm.
And like fuck someone up.
Yeah.
That loves us.
Well, let's jump into the recap.
We are looking at August 21st, 1978. And
wow.
Kate, if you could please just describe that first panel.
I would love to. Okay, so you got John there saying, watching Garfield playing in the sink, and the Garfield's looks like he's got his head buried in the water, and he's going splash, 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 and there's little droplets of water.
I always like to point out that could be sweat. We're not sure if it's water.
Yeah. I mean, this time there's the added, sink. So I think that it's pretty safe to say that it's just water.
I think
But he could be like, yeah, go ahead, Kate.
Well, does sweat really splash?
See, she's got a point, Nick.
This does it? I have to ask you that.
I mean, well, if it's like a pool of no, but my theory is that maybe he's splashing around in the water, and he's splashing around so intensely that he's sweating all over the place.
Okay, that's true. That's always possible.
I think it's probably not sweat, though. I think you're probably right.
Sorry to logic you so hard.
I like this. I like the way this looks, though, with John like in the foreground, Garfield way in the background, and this.
Yeah, I was gonna mention this is like more depth than we normally get with these 70s Garfield comics. There's like two rooms, and we can see them both, and it's not just a void like most panels.
There's some good perspective work going on.
This is like, this. I like this.
I will say, well, one second, Nick, because I will say only a psycho would own a bathroom like this, because it's just a sink in front of a wall with nothing on it. There's no mirror. There doesn't appear to be anything on the wall there or the wall next to it.
Do you know how hard it is to draw a mirror? Like, truly, like, mirrors are like level 1000 when it comes to drawing. You have to draw the reflection of what's in the mirror. You have to add the squiggly lines to make it seem like it's glass. Mirrors honestly, Jim Davis not drawing a mirror, I give him a pass. I give the guy a pass.
Yeah, we give him a lot of passes for sure on this show.
But you think it's because...
I wouldn't draw a mirror. I wouldn't, if Joey Cliff commissioned me to do this, I would say, I would first of all send it to him without a mirror and hope that he didn't say anything. As the artist, I'm like, please don't ever ask me to draw a mirror. If I ever get a mirror commission in any form, Garfield or not, I'm gonna say no. Mark my words.
That's fair. And I think it also, like Lance, you were saying, it does kind of convey something about John, that he doesn't have a mirror. Like he's a weirdo.
Or maybe he's
depressed.
he's so not vain. Like he's like so evolved. He's evolved beyond the need for vanity.
That's definitely true. It's definitely possible.
All right, let's jump into this second panel. John is looking at us now. He is in front of our classic Garfield void. It's just a yellow wall or yellow void. We don't know what's behind him. He's wearing his red and white striped pajamas, and his eyes are closed. He's smiling, which is rare for him. He has one finger in the air, as if he's making a point, and he's saying, "Cats just love to play with water."
Wow.
It's a classic, just in between, pointless thing to say.
So delighted with himself. He's like, an observation.
And he's talking to us, which is happens sometimes in this comic strip, but always
it happened in the first issue.
That's true.
It was established in the first issue, but yeah, it doesn't happen that often.
He's not really looking at us though. His eyes are closed with glee.
It's true. He looks kind of like a chipmunk to me. Is that fair?
His nose is very animal in this shot.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Or this frame or whatever. What do you call it? Panel.
Any of the above.
It's like it has this line going down from his little nostrils to his upper lip, and it's like, what are you, a Who from Whoville, or what's going on there?
Why does it look like an animal? Why does that? Because you're right, it does, but I don't know why.
Because I think in the first panel he's got a weird mouth shape, and that is just what that shape would look like dead on. But Jim doesn't usually look like an animal.
Right.
No.
It's an odd
John.
choice. I mean John. Sorry
to correct you.
Wow. No. Please correct me.
I just wanted some revenge from earlier.
You're right. Tit for tat.
Should we move on to the last panel? Well, so now we're inside the bathroom. Garfield is perched on the ledge of this sink, just with this total asshole look on his face. He's holding a watch above the sink, above the water. The watch has water coming out of it. It might be sweating. And Garfield is thinking, whew, I thought I'd never find John's watch. So, yeah.
And just further exploring this weird lack of detail and giving Jim Davis a pass. There's no faucet, so this is just a basin of water. This is just a basin of water.
It kind of resembles like a bidet, but off the ground, like
right.
But also, even bidets have nozzles.
Mm-hmm.
This
is to activate the water.
Are nozzles and faucets hard to draw, Kate?
Absolutely not. I don't give Jim Davis a pass. This is just pure laziness.
I don't really even quite get what happened. Why was John's watch in the sink, and why did Garfield put it there?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't know. Was he wearing it and dropped it down the sinkhole, or did he hide it earlier intentionally?
I have a lot of questions about this as well. is this like, was it on the ledge of the sink and Garfield accidentally knocked it down the drain? And then somehow in between that happening, the sink filled with water because it's like, and it's,
Right.
and it's not draining down. It's one of those sinks that magically has no nozzles or like the thing you pull up to stop it from the water from draining. The plug has no plug or nozzles, but it is, maybe there's a ton of hair. Okay, we have to think about this for a sec. Garfield got the sink so hairy from reaching his paw down to grab the watch that it clogged the sink and filled it with water or sweat. I'm actually I'm now open to that theory now. Because of the lack of nozzle. It could be sweat.
It's true. Also, now that I'm thinking about it, this last panel, the second panel, cats just love to play with water. That's not true. Cats hate water.
Well, no, I had a cat, and you turn on the sink on just a little bit, and the cat liked to like bat the faucet with its little paw.
Okay, well, we should move on to rating. We should move on to GARFirsts.
Well, I don't see any.
There's no GARFirsts. Okay, let's move on to ratings.
I'm gonna rate it 2 trays of lasagna.
Okay.
The only reason I'm giving it any trays of lasagna is because I love Garfield's face in the last panel. He looks like a real douche. He's grumpy. I relate to that, honestly. The face I relate to. Everything else doesn't make sense for me. The lack of detail on the sink, the just lack of like, it just doesn't make sense. The joke doesn't make sense to me. Did he steal the watch? It's very vague.
Why was it in the sink?
2 trays of lasagna.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah, sorry to be so harsh.
No.
I think you're being very generous, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But I'm actually going to line up with that and say 2. And the reason I'm going to give it 2 is because it's weird and doesn't make sense, and that's kind of refreshing as far as a lot of the boring Garfields. I'm like, well, I get that joke. It's just not funny. This is just weird. It leaves a lot of questions, and I like that.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there, Lance. And I also really do like that first panel. I was really excited when I saw this first panel. It was interesting framing and everything. I'll give it 2 as well. Okay, now let's move on to a ranking. Okay. And Kate, this is where I rank the strip based on the spreadsheet I have of our previous ratings.
This is a spreadsheet that only Nick has in front of him. No one else can see it. That doesn't exist anywhere else. So he'll tell us a random number, and it doesn't matter.
I believe.
It's number 29.
Okay.
Kate, thank you so much for joining us on Hungry Cat Daily.
Before we wrap, I have a question.
Yes.
So Jim Davis, listen, he writes this comic about his own cat. I'm guessing, right? Like, he's a guy who had a cat. Do you know the true story of Garfield? Like, when did Garfield die? Because if he started doing this comic in the 70s, like, did he buy new cats? And is there a real Garfield? I know that's a long question. You've probably answered it on this podcast before, but
we haven't answered, but I do know the answer to this. That Garfield is based on an amalgam of cats, and there is no real Garfield the cat. Okay. He just thought it was a fun name for a cat.
And does it mean anything? It's like a last name, like the president?
Like the president. I think it comes from the president. Yeah.
I'm sure before 1978, if you heard Garfield, you thought President Garfield.
It's so funny how this cat has eclipsed an entire president's legacy.
It's true.
An entire president is actually an afterthought compared to a cartoon cat. And that's
a
power.
good way to think about it. Well, Kate, Hot and Rich is your gossip, celebrity gossip Twitch show and podcast.
Yes.
Jack AM every morning and the weekdays. Is there anything else you want to plug or anything like that?
Yeah, you can listen to Hot and Rich wherever you get podcasts. It's also live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 4 p.m. on twitch.tv/Hot and Rich. Jack AM is morning show I do with my husband, Jack. That's every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Pacific. And I also have another podcast that just came back for season 2. It's called This Podcast is Self-Care. that I host with Drew Spears. So you should check that out. And you can follow me at CAIT RAFT everywhere.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Kate.
Thanks for having me.
And until next time, what's up?
See you in the funny papers.
Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to Hungry Cat Daily on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Send us your Garfield thoughts, drawings, and feedback to hungrycatdaily@gmail.com. And follow us on Instagram at hungrycatdaily or on Facebook at facebook.com/hungrycatdaily for full videos of each episode. And until next time, stay hungry.